I'm Anna Delvey. Run it again. There's something wrong with your system. We're talking about this fascinating story about Anna Delvey and the Netflix series Inventing Anna. I'm so excited to unload all of this. Oh, you don't want to miss this video. Trust and believe.
We really don't have time for this.
What else are you lying about? Who the fuck are you?
I do not have time for this. I do not have time for you.
What do you want me to explain? I just don't feel guilty and that's it. There isn't much to explain.
Strikers is just happening.
Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. I am so freaking excited to talk about this with you today. Have you guys watched the Netflix series Inventing Anna, the story about Anna Delvey? I have watched the entire thing and I am literally fascinated by this entire story, and I'm excited to talk about the series with you guys. I'm excited to talk about Anna Delvey, who she is, what her deal is, and everything in between. So before we get into the series, I feel like it's really important to talk about who Anna Delvey is. Anna Delvey. If you haven't heard of this story, I'm here to share it with you today. So I have taken a lot of freaking notes on this freaking topic. Let me make sure I'm in focus. All right, so Anna Delvey is this character that this woman made up. This girl made up. Her real name is Anna Sorokin. She was born in Russia, moved to Germany. She is a con artist, a fraudster. She committed a lot of fraud back in 2013. It ran from 2013 to 2017. She defrauded banks, hotels, acquaintances for the amount of up to $300,000. What? We're going to talk about how she did it as well, so just don't you worry. So she was convicted back in 2019. She was sent to Rikers Island and then spent the rest of her time in upstate New York. So she was convicted on multiple counts of larceny, larceny of the second degree, and theft of services. I think she was found guilty for 8 of her convictions. So she was released from prison back in 2022. However, she's currently in ICE custody in upstate New York pending trial and an outcome. She might be sent back to Germany. I don't know. We gotta wait and see. But this Netflix show gave rebirth to the Anna Delvey story, and everybody is talking about Anna Delvey, including myself, because I am fascinated. During this whole thing, I watched it and I'm like, I don't know if I hate her. I don't know if I love her. I don't know if I have like mad respect for her for what she's done. Like it was a roller coaster and I went through it. So, little backstory. So she was born in Russia. She moved to Germany. She then moved to London to attend art school. She interned at PR firms in Berlin, Germany. She worked as an intern for a magazine called Purple. It's a fashion magazine in Paris. So in 2013, this is when all of this began. So Delvey went to New York City to cover Fashion Week for this magazine called Purple Mag. So while she was there, she found it a lot easier to make friends, aka fraud people, make them believe this story that she was essentially crafting for herself. She decided to relocate to the New York City offices for Purple, and she only was there for a little bit of time, and then she kind of made this character for herself. So her real name, Anna Sorokin. She changed her name and told everybody her name was Anna Delvey. Are you with me? It's gonna get crazy, y'all. Crazy. So, once she made this fake name called Anna Delvey. That is who she portrayed to the world. She gaslit everybody in New York high society, New York banks, New York elite. She frauded and conned all of these freaking people. So she created this baby of hers called the Anna Delvey Foundation, ADF. It was kind of going to be this like art club for the elite of New York, the socialites of New York. Think of the Soho House, but like on a much grander scale. So once she created Anna Delvey, she claimed that she was a German heiress set to get $65 million from a trust fund once she turned 25. So she led it on that she had all of this money. She was a German heiress, but nobody knew where all of this money came from because she told everybody that she came in contact with so many different stories. Did she come from German royalty? Her father was a Russian oligarch. Her father had a trucking industry. Like all of these stories about where this money is coming from, but it was all different stories and nobody really knew. So she never owned any property. She lived in hotels. She lived at the W, the Standard, 11 Howard. So through all of this hotel living, she created these close acquaintances. One of them was Rachel Delouche Williams. And then another one was Neff. So Neff was a concierge at 11 Howard. While Anna stayed at 11 Howard, she would tip everybody in $100 bills. She never paid anything. She put down these fake credit cards that didn't even work and then would always say, I'll just do a wire transfer. It was, oh my God. So she conned bankers into almost giving her up to, I believe in the series, it was $40 million in loans for this Anna Delvey Foundation. And she would always claim that she had all this money coming. So she was trying to get this building called 281 Park Avenue. This is where the Anna Delvey Foundation was going to be located. This immaculate building. So in order to get what she wanted, she conned bankers into almost giving her $40 million in freaking loans to finance this foundation and this building and this thing that she wanted to do. And she made people believe that she had all of this money when really she had nothing. She had no money at all. She just pretended that she was this German heiress. Like, she's either brilliant or really just like an awful human being. I'm really not sure yet, but it's just freaking fascinating. So this whole thing started because Jessica Pressler, a journalist from New York Magazine, wrote this article and broke the story of this so-called German heiress. Here's the thing. In this article, Anna's parents told New York Magazine there was never a trust fund and that Delvey was not a family name. So Anna went around telling people that Delvey was her mother's maiden name and she didn't want to ride off of the coattails from her real last name, Sorokin, which is Russian. She wanted to make it on her own, do her own thing. So this trust fund, $65 million, this trust fund that didn't exist, that she told everybody did exist, was ran by Peter Henneke. This Peter Henneke, not real. This was supposed to be like the family's accountant. Didn't even exist. He was supposed to be running this trust fund So here's where it gets interesting. To make people think that she had all this freaking money, she used a virtual SIM card that would allow her to make calls, and it would show the receiver of the call different countries. So she used this virtual SIM card to make calls on behalf of Peter Henneke, and these bankers would think that they're receiving a call from Germany when they weren't at all. And she used voice-altering apps and used her own voice, but altered her voice to make it seem like she was Peter Henneke communicating with all of these freaking bankers. She also made false emails. She used Microsoft software to create and craft false bank documents and financial documents to make it seem smoke and mirrors like this money was coming, to make her seem like she is financially stable, she's a good candidate for a loan, when really no money existed. She was nobody. But before, we're going to rewind for a second. Before we got to her frauding all of these bankers, she had to create a name for herself. So, while she was staying at 11 Howard, she basically conned her friend Neff, who was the concierge at 11 Howard, to pretty much put her on all of these VIP lists. Make her seem like, hey, this girl's the real deal. She has money. She knows what she's doing. Like, she is rich, and got her in with New York's best of the best, elite of New York, and put her on the scene. And essentially, when you're watching the documentary, Neff collected all of this money that Anna gave her, $100 bills, because Neff was an inspiring filmmaker and wanted to make a film, so she used all this money that Anna gave her to fund her project. Anna gaslit Neff to think that they were friends. Anna let her into her inner circle. It was freaking fascinating, the lengths that Anna went to in order to create this character called Anna Delvey. It was freaking fascinating. So, we talked about the real Anna Delvey, who she is, what she did, where she came from. Now let's talk about inventing Anna. So, this is a Netflix documentary created by Shonda Rhimes, and you all know anything Shonda Rhimes touches turns to gold. She made freaking Scandal, which is the best show ever, with Olivia Pope. Love it so much. So she created this Netflix series called Inventing Anna. It's the Anna Delvey story. So it's, I'd say 70% true and 30% embellished to make the series a little bit more interesting. A lot of the series is true, like Anna's relationship with her friend Rachel Williams, Casey, the personal trainer. A lot of it is true, all right? And the one thing that stood out for me in this series is the Morocco trip. Now, spoiler alert, you're getting spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, sorry about it, but we're going to talk about it. So there was a Morocco trip. So Anna invited Rachel, Casey, who was a personal trainer, and a videographer to follow them around because she wanted footage for her creating the Anna Delvey Foundation. So they all went to Morocco. They stayed at this elaborate suite. It was crazy, all right? So while they're there, Anna puts down a credit card. Doesn't work. The hotel staff is like, ma'am, we need a working credit card. And she's like, well, run it again. There's something wrong with your system. These credit cards work. She puts down another credit card. Doesn't work. So they basically threaten them that if they don't put down a working credit card, that they're going to go to jail. And you don't want to go to jail in Morocco. All right, you just don't. So Rachel, Anna's friend, puts down her credit card. They leave the hotel and go on an excursion outside. And they go to this art thing or whatever, and they need to pay. Anna puts down a credit card, doesn't work. So Rachel was like, well, don't worry, I'll get it. Looks through her wallet, realizes she doesn't have her credit card, freaks out. It's at the hotel. So they go back. Rachel gets her credit card back from the hotel, but puts down her Vanity Fair. Rachel works for Vanity Fair. Puts down her work credit card. Then they're like, all right, we have to leave. Left without her credit cards. Anna charged her friend Rachel $62,000 on her Vanity Fair credit card. Y'all, that is mind freaking blowing. This whole series, if you haven't watched it yet, I strongly suggest you watch it. The whole thing just blew my freaking mind. So here's what I want to say about this documentary, and I think this is real. Everybody who came in contact with Anna wanted something or needed something, and she was willing to get it. For instance, Vivian. So Vivian is the character of the journalist in this series. Vivian needed an article from Anna because Vivian had her name tainted by an article she wrote in the past, and her name was like dragged through the mud. So Vivian needed this article to clear her name and make it look like she is an proclaimed journalist. Todd, the lawyer that defended Anna in court, needed this case to make it look like he's an all-star lawyer. So everybody wanted something from her. Neff wanted the money because she wanted to fund her filming. Rachel wanted the glitz and the glamour. Like, everybody wanted something from Anna, and Anna ate it all up. She wanted to be famous, and I think to this day she still wants to be famous. So there's some real things and there's some fake things in this freaking series. So what is fake, and I took notes, hold on. I took notes, people. So, in this series, there are characters Nora, Chase, and Val. So Nora is a woman that Anna stayed with in this series for a couple episodes. Anna ended up using Nora's credit cards, racking up the bill. Chase was her boyfriend. These are all fictional, made-up things to add a little bit of embellishment to the series. There was a yacht scene that isn't real with Anna and her boyfriend. There's just a few things that aren't real. Val, her best friend that she met in Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, that's not true. So there are some things that are just a little bit made up, but that's okay. This whole thing is freaking fascinating. So I'm watching this documentary and I'm realizing there's like some feminist undertones going on. And what I mean by that is there was a scene when Anna is talking to, oh my gosh, hold on, Alan. So Alan is the banker who's working with all the banks to get Anna $40 million. She like scammed the shit out of him. And when all this stuff blew up, nothing happened to Alan. Nothing happened because he accepted false documents from a girl that claimed she was a German heiress. No. Nothing happened to him. He was given a raise. A raise! Crazy, right? So, there's this scene. Anna is talking to Alan, and she said, well, if I was a man in a nice suit with a great accent and showing you all these financial documents, you would give me a loan in a heartbeat. Which, where's the lie, people? Where's the lie? If this was a man, I think it would be a very different story, a very different outcome. I'm just saying. So, the cast for Inventing Anna is like an all-star cast. Julia Garner plays Anna Delvey. Anna Chalupsky, the girl in My Girl, she plays Vivian, the reporter. Laverne Cox plays Casey, the trainer. Katie Lowe's, from Scandal, plays Rachel Williams. Like, the cast is an all-star cast. It is amazing. Now, Julia Garner, the accent of Julia Garner, the Anna Delvey accent that she does is literally spot freaking on.
Fuck you, Casey. Screw you and your psychobabble bullshit. You have no clue what it's like for me. I'm a boss. I'm trying to build a foundation, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of amateurs.
Please, Anna, I am begging.
No, I'm doing everything I can. Do you think I have time to waste with this? Your money is coming.
I don't care what you think of me. I don't need your approval. I don't need to impress you. It's like, I had no idea what was going on. So just like, I kind of like did things. Why waste my time? Just knowing the people who were at the top, like, they did not strike me as too smart or like too talented. So I felt like, why? It's like, no one in New York cares. You cannot impress anyone with 50 million, 60 million, I don't know, maybe with $1 billion for a bid, but then like...
Kudos to Julia Garner for doing her research on Anna Delvey. Everything about this story, the way she manipulated the elitist of elite in New York City and made them all believe that she was some German heiress set to receive $65 million is astounding. Like, it makes me almost think, like, good for you for, like, sniffing out and bringing down the elitist. But then it's like, well, you just wanted to be one of them. Fascinating. Fascinating, people. Fascinating. So, here's the thing. So, I have some thoughts and commentary about all of this. About the real Anna Delvey, about the becoming Anna, inventing Anna. Sorry. Now, throughout all of this, she kept saying, I'm going to give you a wire transfer. I'm going to wire you money. Who is accepting that? If someone scammed me out of $60,000 and they're like, don't worry about it, I'm going to send you a wire transfer. Girl, no you ain't. You're going to give me that money now. Give me a check. A check. She would charge meals and all of this shit to her room and rack up all of these hotel bills, leave, and go to another one. And they all caught on to her, and she ended up getting caught because Rachel Williams, her friend, ratted her out. Ratted her out. So, Anna Delvey right now is in ICE custody, and she did an interview with the New York Times. And I want to read a little bit of it to you because it just blew my freaking mind, people. It really did. So it's a New York Times article called Anna Sorokin on Inventing Anna and Life After Rikers. So they interviewed her and they said, I want to read a little bit of it to you. Back in 2019, around the time of your trial, you told me, the thing is, I'm not sorry for the financial crimes you were accused of. The quote has followed you around ever since and was even the first question brought up in your parole board hearing. So that's right. Anna, when she got out, said she wasn't sorry about anything that she did. So her response to that, I told the parole board that I felt like I was taken out of context. And I said you showed up as a surprise and my feelings from that trial were really fresh. I did feel quite defiant. It was really a couple days after my guilty verdict. I was still processing. And they asked her, what would your answer be now? And she said, I feel sorry for the way my case is being perceived. And I feel sorry that I resorted to these actions that people think I'm glorifying now. I feel sorry for the choices I've made. Definitely, I don't feel like the world would be a better place if people were just trying to be more like me. So it seems like she does kind of feel bad for what she did, but kind of like she still doesn't. The Times then goes on to ask Anna, the Netflix series Inventing Anna is about a very specific point in time in your life, your mid-20s. You're 31 now. Do you feel that you've changed? Anna says, I feel like I changed immensely just due to the fact that I've been exposed to so many people and just seeing other people's walks of life. Even though I thought I was so well-traveled and I lived in Europe, lived in the States, and lived in different countries, I was so sheltered. Having been to prison and having been through the criminal justice system, it just exposed me to a whole different kind of a person and my problems before they just seemed ridiculous. And then they asked her, if you could go back in time, would you go back and do things differently? And she said, with the benefit of hindsight, I would have changed a lot of things, but this is just not how life works. So I am just building on my experiences and learning from them. Oh, Netflix paid you $320,000 for your life rights to this series, and you consulted on the project. That's right, Anna Sorokin, Anna Delvey, consulted on this project. A Netflix spokeswoman would not confirm the figure, but wrote that payments were made to an escrow account monitored by New York State's Office of Victim Services. She said yes, and that's why, to reference the BBC interview where I was asked, does crime pay? I could not honestly say no in my situation because I did get paid. For me to say no would just be denying the obvious. I didn't say that crime pays in general. So Netflix paid her over $300,000. She paid the $198,000 in restitution, which I have paid off in its entirety and right away, and the rest to my legal fees. So she basically used this money and paid everything off, and when she gets out of ICE or does whatever she's going to do, is going to make out very freaking nicely. What a fucked up freaking world. Also, she's on Instagram, and I want to talk about at the end of this video where she is now and a little story about Rachel, because that's interesting too. This whole article, crazy, very crazy. I actually just found out that Netflix paid her. Netflix paid her for her life rights to make this. She got coins, honey. She's gonna make out really well. You know who else made out really well? Rachel Williams. She is going around when all this happened, played the victim. So, if you aren't following, Rachel Williams was the one that Anna charged the Morocco trip to on the Vanity Fair credit card and her personal credit cards of up to like $62,000. Ruined this friend's life. However, Rachel sold a story to Vanity Fair to share her side of the story, got paid for that, went on every major network, got paid for that to share her side of the story. American Express wiped away that $62,000 because of fraud. She didn't have to pay that. So Rachel went around playing the victim and then got paid a lot of freaking money to go around and share her story of what happened. So Rachel also isn't really like squeaky clean in this as well. And Anna Delvey is very much active on Instagram. I do follow her. And she posted the other day, and I took screenshots because, yes, has very strong feelings about her friendship, or lack thereof, with Rachel Williams. And I'm going to read you what she posted right now. And this is from the Anna Delvey. Is it going to focus? Anna Delvey Instagram. Anna Delvey says this, and this is all about her now ex-friend, Rachel Williams. Anna Delvey went on a tirade. She said, I've been silent about this for years. However, over the past 2 weeks, watching Rachel stubbornly refuse to move on from her contrived trauma, ever brazen and unchecked, while going on every show that will have her, I thought, now I have to. And if I have to, I will. During her numerous public cries for attention, claiming I ruined her life, relentless Rachel Deluche Williams conveniently forgets to mention the curious period of time during summer of 18 when she herself, along with her newly acquired literary agent, were repeatedly harassing my lawyer Todd, both via email and phone, to get me to agree to write a book together with Rachel. And the best part is, this time around, I've got all the receipts. I know. Sounds incredible considering Rachel's recent media crusade, during which she accuses everyone who isn't aligned with her version of self as a wrong martyr, starved for justice of glorifying crime and giving platform to a con. Can anyone please enlighten us whether she's done anything at all over the past 3 years other than talking and writing about me, reading and dissecting my interviews, taking angry notes, looking for things to get outraged about? She even quotes posts I've deleted after 15 minutes. Find yourself someone who's dedicated to you the way Rachel is dedicated to my Twitter. Don't you just love the irony of watching Rachel Williams constantly adjust her very flexible moral standards depending on the prospective amount of money she stands to profit based on the latest twists in the tale of her unfortunate association with me? This is juicy, y'all. Before she especially embarrassed herself during trial, and before Netflix forever cemented her very accurate, total Karen image, her moral compass deemed it acceptable to suggest we write a book together, all while still pressing charges against me. She really thought she could have it all, didn't she? I guess giving me platform and glorifying crime didn't seem to be such a big concern of Rachel's back then. As long as the price is right, she's the one cashing checks and controlling the narrative. High morals can be put aside. The audacity of her to still attempt to sell her white woman tears that no one is buying, while continuing to shamelessly exploit her connection to me and profit off of her terrible trauma, is flabbergasting. It's not my fault HBO dropped Rachel after deciding she was boring and bland and that her book turned out to be garbage, or so I've heard. On the advice of my counsel, I've only read the latest chapter, which was enough to conclude that her publisher should have paid more to the fact checker and less to Williams. They couldn't even get the other not guilty count right, and it's publicly available information. Our aspiring novelist doesn't like to burden herself with facts, especially the ones irrelevant to her personal tragic suffering. And it concludes by saying, to this day, Rachel Williams clearly struggles to accept the fact that 12 jurors unanimously agreed I was not guilty of any charges related to her existence, and that nobody cares about anything she has to say unless she's talking about me. And while I can understand her being upset at the fact that I've already accomplished more from the various jails and prisons than Rachel in her entire sheltered life of privilege, she won't be getting away with this blatant hypocrisy on my watch, wherever I happen to be at. Y'all, the tea's hot. Anna Delvey is relevant. This whole story is fascinating. If you haven't watched the series Inventing Anna, if you haven't read up on Anna Delvey, I suggest you do it. It's fascinating. Whether you love her or hate her or just can't stand her, it's fascinating. Go and watch it. Get subscribed to my channel. Give this video a big thumbs up. And Anna Delvey, if you're watching and want to do an interview with me and talk about your life, let's fucking do it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.